Good afternoon, and I'll call this business meeting to order. Today, the committee will consider four bills, as 790, a bill to clarify certain provisions of public law, the Catawba Indian Tribe of South Carolina Land Claim Settlement Act of 1993, and for other purposes, S 3264, bridging the Tribal Digital Divide Act of 2020, S 4079, a bill to authorize the Seminole Tribe of Florida to lease or transfer certain land and for other purposes, and S 4556, a bill to authorize the Secretary of Health and Human Services, acting through the Director of the Indian Health Service, to acquire private land to facilitate access to the Desert Sage Youth Wellness Center in Hemet, California, and for other purposes. Okay, first S 790. On March 13, 2019, Senator Graham introduced S 790, a bill to clarify certain provisions of Public Law 103-116, the Catawba Indian Tribe of South Carolina Land Claims Settlement Act of 1993, and for other purposes. Senator Burr and Tillis are co-sponsors of this bill. On May 1, 2019, the committee held a hearing on this bill. A similar bill has been introduced in the House. S 790 will provide authority for the Secretary of the Department of the Interior to take land into trust in Cleveland County, North Carolina, on behalf of the Catawba Indian Tribe for the purpose of conducting Indian gaming. On March 12, 2020, Assistant Secretary of Indian Affairs Tara Sweeney published notice in the Federal Register that the Department of the Interior would be taking this parcel of land into trust on behalf of the tribe. This agency action was made final on July 10, 2020. One amendment, KEN 20294, in the nature of a substitute amendment, was timely filed by Senator Moran. I will turn to Senator Moran in a moment to speak on his amendment. And as you can see, Senator Moran is right here on my right. S32, and I say that because he was down there at the last meeting and he was not happy about it. So we moved him, and we're pleased he's here. S 3264. On February 11, 2020, Senator Udall introduced S 3264, bridging the Tribal Digital Divide Act of 2020, which was referred to the committee. Senators Heinrich, Cantwell, Warren, Smith, and Schatz are co-sponsors of the bill. On September 23, 2020, the committee held a legislative hearing on S 3264. S 3264 establishes a tribal broadband interagency working group. This working group would provide technical assistance to tribes for the development of a tribal broadband deployment plan, detailing current and projected efforts to meet broadband connectivity goals in tribal communities. S 3264 will also establish a tribal broadband deployment advisory committee for tribal leaders to reach consensus and make recommendations to Congress on ways to improve such services. The bill contains a tribal set-aside of 20% of the U.S. Department of Ag's Rural Utility Service broadband program funding. S 3264 further sets aside 5% of the Federal Communications Commission Universal Service Fund for broadband deployment on tribal lands. One amendment has been filed, OLL 20A16, in the nature of a substitute. I will turn to Senator Udall in a moment to speak to his amendment. S 4079. The next bill, S 4079, a bill to authorize the Seminole Tribe of Florida to lease or transfer certain land and for other purposes, was introduced on June 25, 2020 by Senators Rubio and Scott. This legislation authorizes the Seminole Tribe of Florida to convey or otherwise transfer interests in land. This authorization does not include lands held in trust. The bill rectifies the limitations placed on the tribe by the Non-Intercourse Act, originally enacted in 1790. The Non-Intercourse Act requires the tribe to first get federal approval before conveying any land interest. S 4079 would allow for the tribe to operate without this unnecessary delay and to exercise greater control over their own affairs. A ledge hearing was held on September 23, 2020, and testimony was received from the administration and the Seminole Nation of Florida Chairman Osceola Jr. No amendments were filed in this bill. And S 4556. On September 10, 2020, Senator Dianne Feinstein introduced S4556, a bill to authorize the Secretary of Health and Human Services acting through the Director of the Indian Health Service to acquire private land to facilitate access to the Desert Sage Youth Wellness Center in Hemet, California, and for other purposes. S4556 authorizes the Department of Health and Human Services acting through the Director of the Indian Health Service to purchase land at fair market value from willing sellers in order to facilitate access to the Desert Sage Youth Wellness Center in Hemet, California. A dirt and gravel road known as the Best Road will be authorized to be acquired by HHS in order for IHS to construct and maintain a paved road that accesses the center throughout the year. The committee held a legislative hearing on S4556 on September 23, 2020. At this legislative hearing, Rear Admiral Michael D. Wiacki, Director of the IHS, testified in support of the bill. No amendments have been filed to S4556. Before turning to the bill, I want to ask Vice Chairman Senator Udall if he has an opening statement.